Bismillah wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. So when we study Tajweed, the first thing we usually study is articulation points, as in how do we pronounce specific letters? What are the articulation points of different letters? So for Arabic letters, we have 5 articulation points. 5 articulation points. These are, number 1, al-jawf. Al-jawf is the empty space inside the mouth. The empty space inside the mouth, which I will show you now in a second what it looks like. Then we have the throat. The throat. And then we have the tongue. And then we have the nasal cavity. And finally, we have the lips. So these are the 5 articulation points for the Arabic language. Al-jawf, which is the empty space inside the mouth, the throat, the tongue, the nasal cavity, and finally the lips. Now, if we start with the throat is divided into 3 parts. The throat is divided into 3 parts. You have the deepest part of the throat, you have the middle of the throat, and then finally you have the upper throat, which I will show you now in a second. Over here, so this is this part over here, this is the deep throat. This is where the vocal cords are. Over here, you have the middle throat. This is where this guy over here is. We call this the epiglottis. This is where the epiglottis is. And then finally the upper throat, which is this part over here. This part over here, this is like we're talking about the root of the tongue and then the soft palate. So you have this bony part of the roof of the mouth. We call this the hard palate, and this, like, you know, the softer part, like where this meat is, we call this the soft palate. So the upper throat is the root of the tongue and then the soft palate. So from the throat, 6 letters come out from the throat. 6 letters, and then you have 3 points, 1, 2, and then 3. So from each one of those 3, you have 2 letters. So 2 letters from here, 2 letters from here, and then 2 letters from here. All right? Okay, so from the deep throat, we have hamza and ha. And I will show you in a second what this looks like what the deep throat or the vocal cords look like. But from the deep throat, you have hamza and ha. And then from the middle of the throat, you have ayn, and then you have ha. And then from the upper throat, you have ghayn and you have kha. Kha. Okay? Alright, so let's go to the deepest part of the throat. By the way, the book I have here is Sheikh Ayman Suwaid's book. Sheikh Ayman Suwaid is like the most knowledgeable Tajweed scholar we have, like who's alive, still alive, alhamdulillah. So over here, the deep throat, this is what the vocal cords look like. So the deep, this is where the vocal cords are, and this is what the vocal cords look like. So over here we said that we have hamza and then we have ha. Hamza and then ha. So when you have hamza sukun, as in like a word like as-sama, if it has a sukun, what happens here is that you close the vocal cords. You close them completely, as you can see in this picture. You completely close them. Okay? And if you pronounce this word now, you will see that you will feel the vocal cords closing, completely closing. Now, if you have hamza with fatha or with dhamma or with kasra, what you will do is you will close the vocal cords and then you will open them. You will close the vocal cords and then you will open them like this. You have to close them first to allow to pronounce the hamza properly, and then you have to open them to release the fatha, dhamma, and kasra. All right, and you open them like this in this picture here. Finally, over here we have harf al-ha, whether ha has sukun or fatha or dhamma or kasra, doesn't matter. This is where the vocal cords look like. Basically, you do not completely close the vocal cords as in here. No, you don't do that. But you also don't open all the way. So a lot of this is a very common mistake among students, like it doesn't matter which country, is that they would completely open the vocal cords like this. And they would go like, ah, ah. They would just empty their lungs from air. We don't want to do that. That's not a letter. You're just emptying your lungs from air. You don't want to do that. You're breathing. No, don't do that. What you want to do is, you don't want to completely close, but then you don't want to completely open. You want to slightly open, and you go like ha, he, hu, All right. So that's it for the throat. In my next class, we will discuss al-jawf. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.